Hi everyone, and welcome to our sort of a podcast, but not quite. We want to do a podcast, but we also prefer YouTube, and we wanted you to probably be able to laugh at how we look. So we thought, why not do a video cast? We were originally going to do this in the shed, but it's raining really heavily, and out of desperation we thought, why not do it in one of the cars? And then we thought, why don't we make that our thing?
Niche.
So this is working title Into the Pod Wagon. WagonCast. We don't really know, and the camera's jiggling too much. I put it on the parcel shelf and it's not very stable.
We'll sort it out later.
We'll sort it
Maybe
for the
the
next
next
video.
one,
Yeah, that'll be it. We could have actually, in hindsight, we could have put the parcel shelf in and put the tripod there.
Do it for the next one.
Do it for the next one. Anyway, so today, the topic of this WagonCast is the Mercedes Fintail at rallying. So, we're going to do basically topics that interest us each week, and if you like it, great, and if you don't like it, well then go listen to Donuts podcast or something, I don't know. Advertising. So, because obviously we have a Fintail, and we are going to be making it into a rally car, and Mercedes, I think it's pretty fair to say, nowadays aren't really well known for rallying heritage.
Not at all, are they?
No,
Really?
I mean, yeah. They're known for Formula 1 now, especially now.
Mm-hmm.
Touring cars and things, yes.
In the 90s.
In the 90s when they were...
190.
Oh, 202. When they were great. Basically, it had a D2 livery on it. Nice. So we thought we would fill you all in a little bit on the history of the Fintail at rallying and a bit about Mercedes themselves at rallying. So, Connor, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so you probably know that in 1955 at Le Mans, Mercedes had quite a bad crash.
Quite a bad crash?
Killed quite a few people.
Quite a few people?
Bad enough that they decided that they were too embarrassed to keep rallying. Racing.
Good podcast. Nice.
Good podcast.
First mistake.
There's more out of respect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't an embarrassment issue. They
Respect.
were going to win. Jaguar were going to lose that year.
No, they weren't. See, it's a very odd one, right? Because, like, the tragedy of 55, right? An SLR, which is the same as the one that Sterling Moss drove, it clipped... In the Mille.
Actually, was it an SLR?
It was an SLR.
Because it was Le Mans.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It clipped... I think... I haven't got the notes. I think it was an Austin Healey.
Yeah, it was an Austin
Right,
Healey.
well, if both of us think if it was an Austin Healey, then it was probably an Austin Healey. It clipped an Austin Healey, and it flew into the crowd and killed
83
people, was it?
spectators plus
Yeah, basically
plus the driver,
yeah.
who was called...
Who was the driver?
Was it Pierre?
We did a really bad job of this research.
Was it Pierre?
You can look that up. This is the beauty of a podcast. You see, you can look things up while we're doing it, but I'll talk a bit more about it while he does that. So basically, they had the crash, and they didn't call the race off, interestingly, because they didn't want the exit routes to be blocked for the ambulances coming in, so they kept the race going, and widespread panic, because, you know, a lot of people kind of unalived, so a lot of people got unalived, so then they kept the race going, and who won, Connor?
Jaguar won in the
D-Type?
no
C-Type?
yes
No, that's the one. No, the D-Type.
the nicer of the two.
The D-Type won on its own merit, actually, so there you go. But anyway, who was the driver?
Was it Pierre Livet?
Pierre Livet? Not sure. But anyway, yeah, it's a very famous crash, and because of that, Mercedes decided, hey, we're done. We are out of here. We are not racing anymore.
Mercedes withdrew from the race.
Yes.
The race wasn't cancelled, but Mercedes did withdraw.
Out of respect. There's a really great animated short on it. Remember the one we watched one time?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Let's put a link to it.
We'll put a link to it, yeah. And it's like a graphic, kind of a graphic novel, really, in a way, about what actually happened. So check that out. It's fantastic. It won awards and everything, I think. It was at some film festival, I think. But anyway, so yes, Mercedes crash at Le Mans.
1955.
1955.
Yes, okay, so the year after, privateers actually started rallying with Mercedes cars. It started with a Ponton, firm favourite of mine, the 220s.
Were they petrol or they'd be petrol, weren't
They were petrol, but
But they did a diesel, didn't they?
in 1959, not looking at notes.
Yeah. We can have notes. I mean, Donut and all, you can see them reading. I only recently listened to one of theirs, that's why I know, they're great, shut up. But anyway, yeah, you see them reading notes all the time, and this is their first one, so...
In 1959, it was actually a works team, which kind of flies in the face of them actually withdrawing from motorsport.
Well, there was a loophole. They withdrew from racing.
Grand Prix.
Grand Prix, which then became Formula 1 in the 1980s.
Yeah.
I read that. That's a fun fact for you.
It's fun.
But yeah, they withdraw from motorsport. Actually, yeah. No, they didn't withdraw. Sorry, we're rambling. They withdrew from circuit racing, I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Withdrew from circuit racing, and then they decided rallying's a loophole.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, in 1959 they entered the 14,000 kilometre Mediterranee to Le Cap rally. Which,
What?
Yes.
What's that in English?
Mediterranean to the Cape. So
Oh, it's from the Mediterranean to Cape Town, I'm guessing.
South Africa, yeah, in a 190D Ponton.
That was the slowest race ever.
But they won. Because
They won?
Because it
How?
was so reliable.
I was going to say, the only
14,000
way you would
kilometres.
win that is if everybody else broke.
They must have done.
Because, like, your 123 wagon, that's a 2.4 diesel.
Yeah.
And it's slower than
Everything.
Like, we have to be relatively PC, so I have to really try not to have offensive analogies.
Yeah.
A Gene Hunt quote comes to mind. But it was slower than that.
Yeah.
And, like, the only way that would win anything... It's parked there, that's why we're looking over there.
Yeah.
The only way that would win anything is if everybody else broke down, like...
Which must have happened. We must look into that.
Must look into that, that's an interesting fact.
But it is impressive, and it's a very long rally.
Yeah.
And it won.
So they entered in 56.
50... Yeah, they started 56.
Yeah,
they started
started
rallying. Yeah.
Where was that? Where was that first race, Connor?
It was actually...
Have you got it written down? Because I have.
It was Monte Carlo.
It was Monte Carlo. And where did Mercedes come, Connor?
Second. Well, I don't know if it was second, but it was 1 point.
They came second.
Did they come second?
They came second by 1.1 seconds. And you know what they came second to, Connor?
A Jaguar Mark 7.
Ah, yes. The funny thing is, I love Mercedes, but because I own a Jag, it's kind of a. So, yes, so they entered again in 56, came second, and it wasn't really until the Fintail actually came in. They started rallying the Fintail in 1960.
I think so, yeah. 60 or 61.
60 or 61, and I have here that well, you probably have some info about actually racing. No, you don't. Okay, right. Well,
What have you got?
basically the Fintail started rallying in 1960, 61. I think it's 1960, and it dominated. It won the Monte Carlo rally in its very first outing, which is actually the car that we're going to replicate with ours.
Yeah.
But it won its first outing, and then won again, and again,
And again.
and again, and again,
Until
basically everybody else was like, right here, would you quit?
Mini Coopers came along.
Yeah, until Mini Coopers came along and cheated.
They did, didn't they?
They
That's
did.
a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast. That's a juicy one. But yeah, your famous LBL 60 or whatever Monte Carlo Rally Mini was a cheater. But not that I'm bitter, because I actually love it. Was it Paddy Hopkirk's one?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think he cheated. He's a lovely fella, but I'm near certainly cheated. There's an article on it somewhere, but anyway. So yeah, they started rallying again in 1960, and because the Fintail actually did so well, the journalists and press of the time actually asked Mercedes to return to racing.
They did.
Which is a big deal, really, because you wouldn't get that now. Somebody saying, "Oh, here, please come back. You're so good."
No, they all hate each other now.
Yeah, pretty much nobody's nice to each other anymore.
They're not at all.
Like, I'm not nice to most people, like, but
No.
I don't know where I'm going on that. But yeah, the press asked Mercedes to return to racing, and Mercedes was just like,
No.
the director, Carl Kling, And I say that because out of all of the research, his was the only name I could pronounce. He made it very clear, he was the motorsports director, that after the disaster of 55, Mercedes would focus on rallies. They said they would focus on rallies, but they would not enter racing.
Yeah.
So they even actually said it, which is pretty cool. So
they just dominated rallying then.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they did. The Argentine Road Grand Prix, which was actually a rally, confusingly enough.
Wait, what?
Yeah. This is the rally. So it's a 4,600 kilometre rally, or it was then. In 1961, it was a double victory with Walter Schock and Rolf Moll and Hans Hermann and Rainier
Grinder?
Sorry, Rainier Gunzler
Gunzler?
coming first and second in the Fintail. Fangio was there too, presumably had nothing.
Fangio?
He had nothing
Manuel.
better. Juan Manuel Fangio was there, he had nothing better to do that day. So he was there.
Just took a break from racing, like.
He was just there. 1962, of course, you've got Evie Rosqvist and Ursula Worth winning.
She won. See, it's kind of derogatory to say it because, like, she won the women's trophy.
Did she?
Like,
was it not the overall? I thought she won.
No, she won. See, that's the thing. It's controversial because she should have won the overall.
Really?
But because, being the time that it was, because she was a woman, they actually just
didn't let her
give her
win
the women's trophy, which is so trampy. Like,
yeah.
But Evie and Michelle Mouton are like two of the most famous female rally drivers there is, really.
Yeah.
So much so that Matchbox actually have put out a wee commemorative one, which we have about 4 of between us.
We got lots of Evie Fintails.
Yeah.
And then in 1963 and 64, Eugene Bollinger.
Oh, I've heard that name before. Oh, I should point out that all of this is on the spot. There is no real script here. We just got some flashcards. That's it.
In fact, we've run out of notes.
Have we? Is that all the notes? Wow.
So the rest of it's going to be winged.
Oh God. Right. Well, I have a bonus fact.
Yes.
Not about the Fintail actually. So turns out that whilst it's under a lot of debate, many people, myself included, and probably Connor too, think that the famous Monopoly car, you know, the wee tiny boyo that everybody wants to be, and by everybody I mean I think I just always wanted to be it, and some people contested it, and I said no, I'm not playing if I don't get to be the car.
Sounds about right for you, yeah.
Does sound about right for me, yep. A lot of people think that it's based on the Mercedes W25, which was no, it wasn't very successful. A relatively successful Mercedes Formula 1 car from the 1930s. It was only relatively successful. The one that came after it, the 125, was very successful. So there you go.
Yes.
It weirdly also featured in Mario Kart 8.
Just Mario Kart 8? Or
just Mario Kart. Oh, and the one that the deluxe that they released on the Switch, but yeah. Oh, okay. For some reason, you have all of the Mario cars and characters, and then you just have a Mercedes W25. Go figure. Fully licensed as well. But anyway.
Nice.
So, annoyingly, that I kind of thought you would have done more notes on the Fintail, to be quite honest.
I only spent 20 minutes doing it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Alright, same. I thought you would have really went to town on it, so...
But, yeah, so...
Basically, the Fintail was very robust. Oh, I do have another fact!
This one better not be about Formula 1 as well.
And it was number 1 fact, and I just skipped it. Did you know that Daimler Benz, or Daimler, I say Daimler because Jags also have Daimler, but it could be Daimler.
There's different companies, same name.
Basically. Is it different? I always thought it was the same.
Somebody tell us in the comments.
Yes, please.
Because we're too lazy to look it up ourselves.
Pretty much, yeah. So Daimler-Benz, who is the parent company of Mercedes. So back in the early days of Mercedes, you had Karl Benz and...
Gottlieb Daimler.
Nice. I didn't know if you knew. I was going to say John Daimler. Basically, they both built cars, and they were kind of together, but they kind of weren't. And then Daimler bought...
I don't know.
Karl Benz's stuff. Yeah.
But the name Mercedes only came from...
That was his daughter, wasn't it?
One of the French importers' daughters named one of the cars Mercedes, and then it stuck.
So is that where the stripper from Grand Theft Auto Vice City comes from?
Let's say yes.
Let's say yes. But yes, anyway, back on topic. Daimler-Benz would only let them enter rallies if they used standard production cars. So, for example, you'd have got... Take what we're in right now. Subaru Impreza, very famous rally car. But the actual rally car would have had roll cages and carbon fibre parts and this and that, whereas Daimler Benz would actually only let Mercedes enter rallies if they used standard production cars. Now, they were allowed to use slightly tuned up engines and things, but as far as Daimler was concerned, they couldn't actually use the Fintail in rallying as a sales pitch unless the car was standard and they could say this is what won the rally. Because like a lot of people think, oh, I want a Subaru because they won the rallies, but the production cars are nothing like what actually won the rally.
True.
So
Yeah.
you haven't really, whereas with the Fintail you can actually say, yeah, it was basically this, which is pretty cool. And they weren't even big fancy souped up ones either, because like ours is what, a 220, 2.2?
Ours is a 220, which was initially they were rallying 220s and then they moved to 300.
Yeah.
They only rallied the fuel injected ones, and ours has carbs though.
Didn't know that. Did
Yeah.
they do fuel injected ones?
Oh yeah.
Back then?
So the 300 SL is fuel injected. First fuel injected production car, perhaps.
Was that like, what was that, like,
yes.
like really early K-Jet or
It must have been like A-Jet.
A-Jet? That's where it started, the letter A.
A-Jetronic. Well, there was D-Jet before there was...
D-Jet?
Yeah, there's I think actually it could have been D-Jetronic at the time, maybe. Maybe a wee bit later.
Never.
Somebody else can correct us on that.
Yeah, but my knowledge of fuel injection starts and ends with the Mark II Golf, so I couldn't really tell you very much.
Okay.
Sorry. So yeah, that's actually about all we have.
Yeah,
really.
so... Yeah. Well, we can just wing a little bit more, can't we?
We can wing a bit more. I don't know how long this
So-
has been recording for. So wait, is it recording at all?
I hope it is, because...
Let's assume it is.
So anyway, after Fintail, or alongside Fintail, you actually had the Pagodas being rallied. The 230.
Yes, not the really early Pagoda, but the... Oh wait, no, the really early Pagoda it was, wasn't it? Because they're kind of known for the later SL as well, rallied a bit, I think. The 450.
That was the SLC, you're correct.
Ah, okay.
We'll get to that, because we can... It's all Mercedes rallying.
Yeah.
But,
So is this like a podcast on Mercedes rallying or Fintail rallying? It's starting to sound like a...
It's become Mercedes rallying, and you've actually included a bit of Formula 1 there as well, so...
Fair enough.
We're not going down that route yet.
No. I don't like Formula 1 enough.
I liked it back then.
Oh, were
Back
you
when I
there, were
wasn't
you?
allowed, yeah. Just like Fangio, I was there that time.
Brilliant.
So yeah, the SL, the Pagoda, the nice SL, the nicest SL, also
That's an opinion.
also rallied.
It's
It's
correct,
correct.
but it's an opinion.
And then after that, you had the Reg Pigs, which weren't rally cars really.
See, I always mixed those up with Fintails when I was younger.
Yeah, but they're
You
not.
see them in the Confused.com adverts?
Yes, that's
the
them.
one
That's the
with
one
that
where
big long note song that got banned on the radio at one point for being too dready.
Did it?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? You told me that fact. That fact better be true, because you told me that. Oh, that was you trying to sound cool.
I don't remember even saying that fact.
I remember it. It was in the back seat of a Suzuki Wagon R driving to Monaghan from Glasslock.
It's Rumble by Link Ray.
Yeah.
That's what that song is.
Yes.
I didn't know it was banned.
You told me that they didn't play it on radio anymore because it sounded too scary. You told me that.
I don't remember that at all.
Well then, how are the people going to believe anything we've told them?
We're just liars.
Oh God. But yes, so
you had the Red Pigs, which did actually, what did they race in?
they raced at Spa.
They won Spa with that.
They won
in
Spa
its
with
class.
that.
It's always in its class, but it's the
No,
same with everything.
was it just in its
It's
class?
in its class, yeah. Second overall, I think it's Spa in 1970.
Was it? Oh, overall, yeah.
1970 something.
Because
Because
that was AMG's first big deal, wasn't it? That was whenever AMG decided to just stick a V8 into everything that Mercedes had, and then eventually Mercedes was like, here, you are actually pretty good at putting big V8s and things, you want to do it with us?
Well, the two fellas that founded AMG actually worked for Mercedes. There's that famous story of them putting the V8 into the 108 chassis, the V8 from the 600 from the Grosser.
Yes.
Put it in and left it. What did they do? They drove up and down outside the boss's offices at Stuttgart, and they were like, "What is this?
Yeah. What is this?
What is that?" And then they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Just keep doing that. Make one."
Yep. So that's kind of how.
That's how the Red Pig sort of came about.
Yeah.
Then
One thing I will say about the Red Pig, I love the red pig. It's cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus, it has some amount of stickers on the side.
Yeah.
Like,
There
I
are
know
quite a few
NASCAR
stickers.
livers have a lot of stickers on it, but the red pig is a hell of a pig because of the amount of stickers on it. It's one thing that annoys me because they're such a good looking car.
Yeah, they kind of
Biased,
them a
but
bit, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, always used to mix them up when I was a kid until it was pointed out that the non-Fintail doesn't actually have any fins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
that's how you tell.
They're a completely different car. They're
Are they?
totally different. If you look at the 108s, it looks a lot like my 115 from
From the back,
the side.
from the side.
They're basically a smaller version of them. But the Fintail is totally different.
Wait, the 115 is the
Body-wise.
smaller version of the 108.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
So they're completely different.
But from the front, they look identical.
They can actually. The bonnet line's a bit lower. The grille's a bit wider on the 108s.
Aye, but if one drove past you, you're not going to know at a glance.
I would.
Well, you would. Yeah, but you can also tell the difference between a 190 and a 124 at a glance, so you know.
True. It's just a power that I have.
So,
anyway, you get into the mid 70s, and along comes the 123
weapon.
Weapon. Possibly the best car ever made.
There is a thing about that, though.
What?
Mercedes didn't want to actually do the rallying in that. Wasn't there something like that?
They weren't bothered.
Yeah, they weren't bothered by then.
So, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he bought two of them, two 123 saloons to do the London to Sydney rally, which is also quite a long way if you think about it. You know.
Yeah, I
London
mean, how did they must have had some kind of dry sump system to make sure whenever it goes upside down to go to Australia, the oil isn't all surged to the top.
And a snorkel for crossing the.
Snorkel, yeah. Like, there's no petrol stations across the ocean, like.
It's amazing they did it all.
Unreal, like, unreal.
But Mercedes weren't bothered, so they didn't really give any support except for. Was it Uhlenhaut again? From back in the day.
Uhlenhaut,
Was it maybe him? Maybe
Uhlenhaut
that
was.
doesn't sound right. It sounds like he'd be maybe out of the picture by then.
Yeah, I
but
thought he
could
would have been. But for what it's worth, Uhlenhaut was pure cardigans. For what it's worth, well, it's worth. Uhlenhaut was a racing driver for Mercedes, wasn't he? And then
he was the team manager.
he did lots of good things. And then Mercedes was like, "Here, you're a pretty cool guy who kills lots of aliens and doesn't afraid of anything. How about we give you an SLR and we put a roof on it?"
I think he just took it and put the roof.
Did
That's
he?
That's the way I heard it.
See what
yeah.
I said there? Forget it.
Thank you. Well, we're going back to the 50s now after the retirement for racing. He took one of the SLRs, built himself a daily driver out of it. By putting
What
the
a
roof on.
hero. For, like, to put that in today's terms, that's like Jason Plato leaving the Renault team, taking a Laguna and making a convertible out of it.
No, do you know what it's like? It's like taking one of the friggin' F1 cars.
I was
putting a
thinking
roof on
that.
it and just drive it.
Yeah, for the time that's pretty accurate.
Or maybe more like a Le Mans car.
Aye, yeah.
But they were using those full-bodied.
It would be like.
It was the 196 for F1.
Oh,
For the
right.
chassis, but they were basically the same.
Yeah, it would be like your man Conway for Toyota Gazoo Race.
Yeah, it'd be like taking one of the-
50
and just putting
it's
the
a
roof on it.
hybrid, so I'm going to daily drive it.
Yeah, and just putting the roof on it and just daily
It has
drive
a
it.
roof.
Oh yeah, they're fully enclosed.
Yeah. No, he took an LMP1 and put indicators on it on the number
That was
plate.
what he did, yeah.
That's what he did.
That's what he did.
But yeah, anyway, that's Uhlenhaut. He's
That
a
was
pretty
what
cool
he
guy.
did, yeah.
Where were we?
Yes, the 123.
Yeah.
So the factory weren't going to support them, but then this one fella at the factory who was big into racing, I guess. We do really informative podcasts.
He was a big
you have
racist.
you have to fill in all the bits yourself that we don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. We do just wing this, like, so it's a podcast. You learn some stuff, but some of it is just going to be us talking.
So WagonCast. Can't
WagonCast.
expect full facts in a WagonCast.
Exactly. I've told many's a lie in the Subaru.
I bet you have.
Yes, officer. Yeah, that's a digression. I remember getting pulled over. I've told you this story so
For
many
overtaking
times.
5 cars.
Yes. One time I
Donegal.
was driving in Donegal in my Subaru and there were 5 cars driving slowly. I had no turbo at the time, so I was slow too, realistically. Like, overtook all 5 of them at 105 miles per hour and the guard pulled me over and he said, "That's a fast car. Just be careful." And let me go. What a man.
Good old cards.
I hope I don't get, like, done for this. It's past the statute of limitations. It's a different country, it's fine.
Yeah.
Different country on its suits. We're getting really off topic
Not
here.
to get political.
Yeah. Back to the 1, 2, 3s.
Anyway. somebody wanted the 123 for doing the London to Sydney long way, so we ordered them, and the factory wasn't going to support it. They didn't want anything to know. The 123 was selling well enough anyway. They didn't care.
It was selling really well. That was like their big break in America, really, wasn't it?
For the entire production run, it was like a year's waiting list for the 123. Bit like the Suzuki Jimny, the new one.
Only not as cool.
Which?
That's for the viewer to decide. I know my opinion, but we'll say nothing.
News.
Bit of partridge there. So yes.
Anyway, so we ordered them. This guy at the factory was like, whoa, hold on. I will race prepare these for you.
Whoa, stop this shit. What the fuck think about?
And he made sure that they went through. He actually put them through two different English dealerships, so the factory wouldn't notice that they were being ordered for the same place. He ordered them through it. He took them into the racing department at Mercedes, which presumably still sort of existed at this stage, and they fitted them out with everything they needed: upgraded suspension, tuned the engines. I think these were 280Es, just saloon cars.
What I want to know is, where did they get these things?
They just made do. They're Germans. They're really good at that sort of thing.
No, but like my point is, right, so he just went to this racing department, right?
Which shouldn't have existed at that stage.
Yeah, it shouldn't have existed. But then when you also think about it, Mercedes weren't really in rallying either. So why the hell did Mercedes just happen to have upgraded suspension, this and that for a 123 that they never rallied?
They probably had to make it.
Fair play to them.
This might have been AMG.
Was it AMG? I don't think it was AMG.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. We're terrible at this.
You told me this story before and never mentioned that it was AMG.
Well, it's a cool story anyway. But
maybe it was
so
AMG.
Anyway,
I'm just trying to
it could have been AMG. It could have been like your man from AMG. You know, John AMG.
John AMG.
So they took him in. They prepped them for rallying, better suspension and everything. They actually gave him a full sort of race support team.
Undercover.
Yeah, and then they entered these two cars as privateers. There's good footage of it.
Which we'll probably find and put in if it's official Mercedes footage.
But here's
it wouldn't be actually because they didn't want anything to do.
Here's the thing: Mercedes were actually entering the SLCs, the 450s, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
In that rally.
In the same one.
These 123s saloons were keeping up with the 450s, and Mercedes were like, "What? Like
you what, mate?
This just shows the 450's not really any good."
Well, either the 123 is awesome.
That's what it showed.
Or the 450 is
that's
not
what
that
it showed.
good.
But the 123 won against a 4.5 litre coupe.
But the 123 had rallies back then
well, they were just endurance tests.
Yeah, compared to nowadays where it is going over heavy duty stuff but as quick as possible. Back then it was more about can you actually make it to the end.
Sydney's a long way away.
Sydney's a long way away, and like rallies then were on public roads and all that. Dirt, nowadays you have your dirt, yeah. But what I mean is in rallying now they'd close off that bit of road for the rally. But back then you couldn't close off every road between Sydney and London.
No, that'd be a lot of work.
Exactly. So like they were actually done on public roads, which makes me wonder how they. It's basically just a rally of dodginess. Trying to avoid the cops, trying to speed but without being caught. It's basically just Cannonball Run.
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
There you go, we've solved it.
There you go.
Rallying is just Cannonball Run with less moustaches.
Yep.
Actually, back then there were a lot of moustaches.
Yeah, there were.
Everybody had moustaches.
Everybody would have had a moustache.
I want to put in a collage of moustaches from the time.
That can go in there now.
That's going to go in there. So yeah,
the 123 saloons won it, and Mercedes were like, "Oh, class, well done," but we're not going to make anything of this because we're already inundated with orders.
Yeah, and they didn't really broadcast it. Like,
no,
they tell you about it now, but at the time they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. So that was the 123 was basically the end of it because the 124 they didn't do anything with at all. I don't think.
I don't think they rallied the 124.
I don't think they even raced the 124. Now the 190E. Was made
to rally.
Yes, it was meant to be in Group B,
but
which is awesome.
Somebody had to go along and make 4-wheel drive.
What?
Somebody invented 4-wheel drive.
No, the 190 was going to be 4-wheel drive.
Was it?
Yeah, it was by the time the 190.
Are you sure?
I'm near certain that it's a case of...
The way that I know this is that the 190 is like lots of things. The 190 was being prepared for it, and then Quattro came along, and suddenly rear-wheel drive was useless, so we didn't bother.
But the Quattro came along before Group B.
Did it?
Yes.
1981.
Yeah, so you have the Quattro rally car came out in 1980, I think. The road car came out in 1980.
Right.
But I'm near certain that the Quattro came out and it just dominated everything because it was the only four-wheel drive car.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Group P actually existed then.
Did it not exist for a couple of years?
No, I don't think it did. I think it existed because your 205 came out in 1983. I think. Could have been 86.
I don't know.
We haven't looked up any of this. But I'm just trying to think. But I'm near certain that Group B wasn't at the exact same time as the Quattro. Because the Quattro...
I think you're probably right, yeah. I think it was just
Quattro then entered Group B, but then they did the Evolution, or the S1, wasn't it?
I thought that was a hill climb car for Pikes Peak.
No, they took it from... Yeah.
Was that... Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No. But anyway, the way I know it is that Mercedes made the 190 for Group B, but by the time they were nearly finished it, Group B was over because somebody decided driving into crowds again was a good idea.
It wasn't them this time.
Wasn't them this time. They got away with that one. That was Ford. Ford decided they wanted to have a go at... that is foreshadowing there. I mean, the RS200 was the original Mustang. Oh, we're going to get so much abuse for this. But anyway, yeah, I knew it as by the time they went to make the 190, it was too late, so they just decided, right, we'll make a race car out of it instead.
But the 190 came out in 82.
Yes, but the 190 wasn't made just to be a rally car.
No.
The 190 was made to be a small saloon, a smaller version of...
No, it was just...
Oh, it was just
Baby Benz. It came out before 124 did.
That's right, yeah. So...
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the way I understood it. So, the 124 never rallied.
Nope.
The 190 never rallied in the end.
No.
I don't think they've rallied since.
No, I don't think they have.
Which is weird, because that was where they got their name for durability. Yes, obviously, they had a bit of a name before that, but on a global scale...
Really, it was, It would have been the rally that did it for them.
Would have been, because obviously they were huge in Germany and all that, but most places I don't think really knew of them. But, yeah, so, do you think they'll ever return to rally?
No.
Well, that was quick. Well, thanks for joining us. No? That's all you've got on that?
No. No, I don't think they will.
God, give me strength.
I think. I mean, they're not even...
Come on! Blood from a stone.
No. Do you think they will?
I don't think they will either, but if I was asked the question in a podcast, I'd probably try and fill it out a bit.
Hypothetically, if this was a podcast and you were asked that...
Oh, yeah, that's right, this is a WagonCast, so it doesn't count. I would say that, no, I don't think they will return to rallying, because to be quite honest, rallying these days is very expensive for a company to get into.
Their skin.
No, not what I meant. But... Mercedes doesn't have anything to sell within rallying. No, rallying's not a question of durability anymore. Because, no harm, but Toyota doesn't need to prove how reliable the Yaris is.
No, they
Everybody knows how reliable Toyotas are. Same with Hyundais and Volkswagens.
What are they doing?
I don't think the Volkswagen's in it anymore.
Did they give up again?
Yeah, they were rallying my Polo and then they stopped, I think. They might be back.
They didn't used to do it, did they?
No, because Volkswagen entered the Mark II Golf in rallying and won all of about nothing and then stopped.
Oh.
But Audi won everything, so that was Volkswagen's. We don't need to do good, we've got Audi doing good and we own Audi. So
Auto Union, yeah.
Pretty much. But I would say Mercedes won't enter it now because Mercedes doesn't have anything to prove. Mercedes are doing very well in Formula 1 right now, and Formula 1 is...
It's high profile.
It's high profile, it's the epitome of excess. People who really go to town in Formula 1 are people who go to Monte Carlo and stuff. People who have loads of money. Obviously, yes, not everybody who watches Formula 1 is loaded. I'm not thick. But a lot of people in the Formula 1 lifestyle are huge into their brands. They'll wear their Rolex. They'll go to Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
I'm really stereotypical right now. But you know what I mean. You picture your average well-off Formula 1 fan, right? So that's the market that Mercedes wants. Mercedes isn't looking for the people who'll stand out in the field in the chucking rain to watch something fly past at 90 mile an hour on dirt.
True, because they haven't got any money.
Well, that I wasn't going to say.
But they don't.
But you did, so fair enough. The Mercedes owner here has no money, apparently.
I don't have any
La-di-da. But yeah, no, so for that reason, I don't think Mercedes are going to return. I don't think they have anything to gain by going back to rallying. As much as we'd love to see a big, mega E-Class or something flying around rally circuits chasing after tiny hatchbacks, it's not going to happen. Like.
Well, there's a point as well. What rally car is that big? None of them? Are there? Nobody's rallying anything big anymore.
No, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the last actually relatively hefty rally car was the Skoda Octavia, which won nothing because it was hefty.
Too big.
So it was too big. Now, don't get me wrong, Mercedes does have
Well, they got the
A-Class.
A-Class, which probably would do alright, actually. I wonder if they...
It would be an idea to rally it because, like, realistically, AMG have the whole... Don't take this the wrong way if you only want, but AMG means nothing now.
Well, that's true.
Everything has an AMG badge on it. They've all been diluted. The
Yeah.
M badge, the AMG badge. I'm sad to say it, but also the STI badge.
Yeah.
They don't mean as much anymore because they've just watered it down. So why not water it down a bit more and put it in the rally car? You know.
True.
But like they do the AMG A45, don't they?
They do.
Which is four-wheel drive. No, it's
No,
front-wheel
it's-
drive with fancy rear diffs to make it feel like a four-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not actually four-wheel
Rubbish.
drive.
But they've got that, but they get enough mummy and daddy have horses and lots of money, people buying those to not have to worry about promoting them and proving
That's
what they
it,
can
yeah,
do.
That's it again. It comes down to not needing to.
Pretty
Same
much.
with the 123s. They didn't need any extra.
No, they didn't. Like it's
It's already a status symbol. It's already sought after.
pretty much. But it's really sad to say it, but outside of Formula One, now commenters feel free to tell us these are full of it, but I honestly think that motorsport doesn't really sell cars anymore.
No, I think you're right.
Like, you go to your average M3 E-Class or C-Class owner, right? And you say to them, oh, we won in the DTM. That means nothing now.
I don't know. They don't. Know what it
They
means.
don't care. They do not care. They
Um,
just want to know if it comes in diesel or not.
Le Mans. I don't know because we weren't there, but it seems to me like Le Mans used to make the front page, not just when everybody died, but but maybe like the winner of Le Mans
It's true.
was a front page thing, and people actually cared that this car had done 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
and
It
survived
doesn't
it.
mean anything. Toyota is all like, oh, this is proving our hybrid system. You don't
Yeah,
need to.
But
The Prius did that years ago. When every Hollywood person bought a Prius, that proved your hybrid system. You didn't need to do... I'm a Team Toyota fan. Everybody knows this that knows me. But, like, you don't need to do it. You're doing it because you can. Like, I always rooted for Toyota because Toyota, I'm not saying the glory days, but I would say about 4 years ago were more glory days than today at Le Mans because you had Toyota, Porsche, who else? Audi was in it at the same time.
they were, weren't they?
You had a whole load of ones anyway. Whereas this year, the main manufacturer was just Toyota. Toyota were racing themselves. But at the time, they had something to prove because they were saying, look, we're Toyota and we beat Porsche. We beat BMW.
Yes.
They didn't. But they could if they did. So they could justify it.
Yes.
Whereas now, there's not any justifying it. Like, as you said, it's not making the news anymore. Genuinely the last time I heard anything about Le Mans full stop on the news at all was that time when Toyota broke down on the last lap,
Yeah.
because I cried. It was a big deal, but that was the only time I heard about it outside of my own circles, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually on BBC News. It was on... obviously it wasn't on UTV News, but it was on... it was in newspapers. It was actually a big deal because it was such a crushing, heartfelt defeat. But nobody cares about who wins.
No.
Actually, yeah, case in point, Toyota broke down that year, and Toyota got more press than the car that won, the Porsche.
Per Porsche.
Like, when you think about it, like, so... it breaks my heart to say it, but I don't think motorsports means very much anymore.
No. No, like you say, not outside Formula
No,
1.
Formula 1, and nowadays Formula E is kind of a big deal. I think Formula E is the thing that, I know it sickens us, but hear me out. Formula E is kind of a big deal now because all the manufacturers are putting their name to it, and that's spending a lot of money on it.
Yes.
So you go watch Formula 1, you've got who you got? You've got Ferrari, you've got Mercedes, you've got McLaren,
Renault.
Renault, or Honda in it still?
They've ducked out of it.
They ducked out.
VTEC
didn't kick in, you know?
They've decided they're bored of it.
Yeah. But you go to Formula E, right? And you've got the same again. You've got Porsche. Actually, I don't think it's Ferrari. You've got Porsche, McLaren, Mercedes. You've got Jaguar. You've got... Yeah.
Oh, God.
You've got... Who else? You've got TVR had a team in Formula E for a while. Everybody's doing Formula E. And, like, it's not that big of a deal broadcasting wise. Nobody talks about it that much.
They don't, do they?
But there's a lot more names in it than you think. And then once everybody cries about pollution, then Formula E probably is the way forward.
Yes. Well, they're all trying to make their name with electronic.
Exactly. So if they're going to do anything, they're going to do the all-electronic one.
Yeah.
Now, this hypercar thing, the new class coming into Le Mans might change things a bit because there's a lot more. Even Peugeot's going to do it again.
So bring a diesel again, are they?
No, I don't think they are. It has to be. It's hypercar,
be
and there has to be a road version
interesting
for homologation, which means that at some point Peugeot's going to come out with a kick-ass, crazy, bat shit insane.
Can't wait to see it.
LMP1 car. I know Ryan Doyle's going to be loving it. Because Toyota's making a road car to do it. Aston Martin already has their Valkyrie, and whoever else decides to join in.
Yeah.
Mercedes had that AMG Vision 1 or AMG 1 or whatever it was called that Lewis Hamilton put his big stupid face all over. But anyway, we really went off topic here. It's probably about time we maybe wrapped her up a bit.
Yeah, that's
about far out.
That's probably what we got for you.
So yeah, this was the first Into the Wagon cast. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Us just rambling. We really hope you enjoy it, actually, because it's very easy for us to do, so we'd be much more inclined to do lots of them if you like them, you know. So stick around to the next one. We'll try and do one a week.
Yeah.
Because then enough things will have happened, and hopefully we'll have got more research together. But
we'll spend more than 20 minutes next time, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, so this has been 427 Motorsports. Please check us out on our Facebook, on our... We don't really actually use much other social, to be quite honest. We'd rather you check us out on YouTube, which you already have because you're here. So give us a thumbs up and a comment. Tell us that we're rubbish at this. Yes. You know what's funny? Every time I end an episode, I'm like, feel free to tell us we're no good, because like I would take any publicity over no publicity, and nobody does. So either we're so good you don't have anything bad to say, or we're so bad we're not even worth the comment, which is probably pretty good in itself.
Yes.
You can tell which one of us is the optimist here. So, but yeah, give us a comment, thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends, do whatever. So, I've been Tomo Pattison. Follow me on Instagram at tomo.pattison.
I'm Connor Hughes.
That's sad.
At Hughes Corporation on Instagram.
Hughes Corporation?
Hughes Corporation.
What's that inspired by?
By the Hughes Corporation.
Yeah, so check us out on socials. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.